Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet all my YouTube family and friends with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. How you all doing this evening? I hope everybody's doing okay and beautiful. On this February, I believe the 26th of 2020. This is the 6th edition of Black Amnesia show. I wanted to talk about a particular subject that I know a lot of people don't really like to talk about. And I, for one, I don't usually discuss a lot of religion. Everyone has their own belief system and their own faith. But I wanted to share a little information that I got from YouTube and in conjunction with the Holy Quran. I don't know if any of you all have ever read a Quran or ever seen a Holy Quran, but I wanted to give you all a little information, share with you as from the Quran, as well as on a video that I have shown on my television. And basically what I'm going to show is there's a segment in this video, The Real Jesus, part 2, where it and there some belief systems as far as in the world that we believe that Jesus didn't die on the cross and that he did survive the crucifixion on the cross, and later on would reside later into India, a city called Kashmir, and would have a family and eventually would pass and die, and his body would also be buried, and to this day is still buried there. I was taught this myself as a Muslim. Of course, in the Nation of Islam, we're taught this, that Jesus did escape the cross and that he was one of the ones who did not get his legs broken on the cross. And so usually when the Romans crucified those that were on the cross, they would break their legs. As a method of breaking their legs, this was cause some sort of gangrene to set in, cut off the blood circulation quicker, but they would also suffer more. And so we know through the Bible, as well as the history, that we've been taught that Jesus, they did not break his legs. And so this is more evident of fact that they talk about on this particular documentary of The Real Jesus. So I want to go ahead on and I want to show you from the Quran. I'm going to read a little insert from the Holy Quran. It's out of Surah 23, called the Believers. And this particular page, on page 670, I just want to read a little bit here. And I'm just going to read a little bit. And it says, Jesus, Egypt, Palestine, Damascus, which are the names suggested do not answer the descriptions which apply exactly to the valley of Kashmir. Part of the lost 10 tribes of Israel is also traced to Kashmir, where a large number of towns and villages bear the names of the towns, and where a large number of towns and villages bear the names of the towns, villages of Palestine. The presence of a tomb known as the tomb of Nabi, Nabi, the prophet, or Isa, or Jesus, or Yaz Asaf, in the Khan, Yaz streets in the capital of Kashmir, lends additional support to the theory. The fact that chapter deals with the final triumph of prophets and their followers and their deliverance from the hands of their enemies also gives us the clue to the mystery attended the circumstances of the disappearance of Jesus Christ after the events of the cross. For as shown in 645, Jesus did not die on the cross. According to the sayings of the holy prophet, Jesus lived 120 years. This verse tells us that being delivered from the hands of his enemies, he was given shelter at some other place, and the descriptions of the place indicates this verse, along with the fact that Kashmir has a tomb which every available evidence shows to be the tomb of Jesus himself, leads us to the conclusion that Kashmir is the land referred to in this verse. As regards to the tomb, the following evidence shows that the sacred body of no less a personage than Jesus Christ rests there. Oral testimony based on tradition of the people of Kashmir tells us that the tomb belongs to one who bore the name of Yaz Asaf, who was known as a Nabi, and who came to Kashmir from the west about 2,000 years ago. The Tarif Tami, an historical work written some 200 years ago, says reference to this tomb on page 82. The tomb is generally known as that of a prophet. He was prince who came to Kashmir from a foreign land. His name was Yaz Asaf. The Ma-el-Din Arabic work, which is 1,000 years old, also mentions Yaz Asaf as having traveled in some land. Joseph Jacobs states on the authority of a very old verse of the story of Yaz Asaf that the Joseph at last reached Kashmir and there died. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to play this video, and it's going to correspond to what I was telling you, what I just read from the Holy Quran, Surah 23. I'd like you to listen and just tune in.
The Himalayas, in the hotly disputed territory of Kashmir, lies the ancient city of Srinagar. Srinagar is a predominantly Muslim city. The Bible is not the only holy book with the story of Jesus. The Quran mentions him too, 36 times. It gives him many special titles, including Messiah. But in Islam, Jesus is regarded as one of God's prophets, a precursor to Muhammad. The Quran also describes his miraculous birth, how he performed many miracles, and that he was sent to guide the children of Israel. All familiar stuff for Christians, but where it diverges completely from the traditional biblical narrative is its understanding of what happened to Jesus at the end of his life.
Skin was fair.
Srinagar is the starting point for the next part of my investigation, to understand who Muslims believe the real Jesus was. It is also the setting for one of the most extraordinary stories concerning Jesus I have ever come across. All Christians, like me, are taught from a very early age that Jesus spent his entire life in the Middle East and that he was crucified and died in Jerusalem. But here in Kashmir, there is a totally different story. One that claims that Jesus did not die on the cross, but escaped to India, where he continued his teaching, got married, had a son, and lived to a ripe old age. And even that he was buried here. I have come to meet a man who has spent the last 40 years investigating this ancient tradition.
When you study the Gospels and you come to the information where it is said that Jesus was lost to his parents at the age of 12 and he came back at the age of 28. or 30 to Jerusalem, and then his ministry was for 2 years, and after that there was crucifixion. So the first thing is that there is a gap of so many years in the life of Jesus. The second point is that when he was crucified, his legs were not broken.
Legs were not broken.
He was brought down from the cross and put a specially made sarcophagus. And then next day they say, he's no more there. He's lost to them. So there are two instances. He's lost as a young man, and he's lost to the people after crucifixion. So I began thinking on it, that he is lost twice, and we have to find him.
Professor Fida Hussain is a Sufi, part of a mystic tradition within Islam that has a particular reverence for Jesus. Over the last 40 years, he has collected copies of many ancient Indian and Tibetan documents that he claims prove Jesus came to India.
This is the Tibetan document which is translated from the Chinese. It tells about Jesus spreading his message among the lost sheep. His name is the glass mirror. He says, Yusu the teacher and founder of the religion, who was born miraculously, proclaimed himself as the savior of the world. Now, here is a document, Bhuvishya Mahapuran. This is the most important document. It says that Jesus comes to Kashmir. He meets the king Shalivahana about 78 AD, and he tells him that his name is Ishwaraputram and Kanya Garbham, born of a virgin and son of God.
And when was this document discovered?
It's an ancient manuscript, and its date is 117.
117?
Yes.
So this is literally a 2nd century document,
yes,
which says that Jesus was in Kashmir.
Yes, yes.
That's very early.
This is early. He meets the king of Kashmir. This is the most important document.
Can you tell me what Jesus did when he was here? What happened?
You see, the first information what we get, that he meets the king.
Meets the king.
And he explains to him how he fled away from the land of Malichas there, and how he suffered there, and how he came to this place. And he stays here. When he stays here, Persian sources and Arabic sources say that here he changed his name from Jesus to Yuzu. In Kashmir he adopted this name, Yuzu. And he continued here till his death, and he was buried here.
Did he get married when he was here? Did he have children? What did he get?
Yes. You see, according to the two sources which I got, that Yuzu married Marjan, and he had a child named Juhakim.
So when Christians, and I as a Christian, have been taught to believe that Jesus is crucified, he dies on the cross, and then he's resurrected. So what would you say to Christians who say, this is the tradition of Jesus?
You see, I will tell them that Paul, being a Roman, he invented some dogma, and people, the Roman emperors, they propagated that dogma, and that dogma influenced Europe, and they think that that dogma is correct.
One of Professor Hussain's documents even claims that Jesus is buried in Kashmir. So tell me about this one.
Is Tariq-e-Kabir by Mahideen. It tells about the story of prophets and saints. It says that one Hebrew prophet is buried there, and he was a prince who came to Kashmir thousands of years back, and he was so pious and he became a prophet. Now there is the decree of this shrine, what we have shrine here. Now the Chief Justice of Kashmir, he gives a decree He says that this is a shrine called Yusasaf Pagamar alayhi salam.
So this suggests that the tomb is the tomb of Jesus. This is where Jesus is buried.
Yes, this legal document says he's the prophet. Yusasaf is his name.
This is what I was talking about. What I was saying.
According to Professor Hussain,
according to
Jesus
Islam,
is actually buried in a small shrine in the center of Srinagar. It is located in a very religiously sensitive part of the city. Professor Hussain is no longer able to visit the tomb because his beliefs about Jesus contradict mainstream Islamic
see the
teaching.
Arabic,
And
see the
he
Arabic,
has received several
Islam.
death threats.
Jesus was a Muslim.
Could you tell me who it is who's buried here? Because I've been told that it may be Jesus.
Now you say Nabi, right?
This is one of the many Muslim prophets, but Jesus is not buried here.
He says that,
It is written in our holy
but he
book,
knows.
the Muslim
He knows it's
Quran.
Jesus. That's saying to
Jesus
protect
has
it,
been
protect the
taken up to
tomb.
heaven, to Allah.
लेकिन कादियानी जो है मिर्जाई वो तो गलत रंग में इसका जवाब दे रहे
So those people who say it is Jesus are giving incorrect information by saying that he's here.
क्योंकि कोई मुसलमान
No Muslim in the entire world would say that Jesus is buried here.
हज़रत ईसा जूजिस मदफून
That's the protection mechanism.
Scholars
That's what that is.
also dispute Professor Hussain's claim that this is the tomb of Jesus, and in particular, the dating of his documents. Why was it, do you think, that Jesus came here to Kashmir? Why Kashmir?
My point is general impression in the West is that Jesus belongs to the West. They think he was a Westerner, maybe white man. But the fact is that Jesus belonged to the East. He was not born in the West. He was born in the East. He belongs to us. We have information about him in Persian, in Urdu, in Kashmiri, in Chinese, in Sanskrit, in Arabic language, in Tibetan also, in many languages.
Right.
We have lot of information about him
Right.
in our books or manuscripts or something. So naturally we have to search Jesus in the East.
Here in Kashmir, we have uncovered an incredible story about the life of Jesus. One that not only fills in the missing years, but also roots him not just in the Middle East, but also here in India. It's a story which at first glance sounds unbelievable. Jesus in Kashmir, but it's told in so much detail, and it has so many documents to support it, some going back to the 2nd century, that it can't be dismissed out of hand. But above all, it tells us something that we in Western Christianity often forget. That the real Jesus is a man of the East, and that he belongs as much to Asia as he does to Europe. Professor Hussain's views about Jesus dying and being buried in Kashmir contradict mainstream Islamic thought. So I wanted to find out what the Quran says about Jesus' death. The Egyptian capital, Cairo, is home to the world's oldest Islamic theological university, Al-Azhar. Its rector is Dr. Ahmed El-Tayyib. In the Christian Bible, the New Testament, we're told that Jesus was crucified, died, and then was resurrected from the dead. What does the Quran tell us happened to Jesus at the end of his life?
We believe, according to the Quran, that Jesus was not crucified, rather that another man was made to look like him. God made a man resemble him so that the Jews thought he was Jesus, and he was crucified in Jesus' place. Jesus was raised by God to heaven at that time. He was not crucified, but someone who looked like him was crucified.
For Muslims, Jesus has a very special future role. According to the Hadith, Islamic prophetic traditions, Jesus will return to earth before the Day of Judgment.
He will descend at the white minaret in the eastern side of Damascus, wearing garments dyed with saffron, and placing his hands on the wings of 2 angels. Every non-believer who smells him will die. He will then search for the Antichrist and will catch up with him at the gate of Lud and will kill him.
One possible location for the Gate of Lud is at the village of the same name in modern Israel. Today, there is a small mosque on the site. So, Jesus in Islam is very important because he kills the Antichrist here in Lud.
Yes.
This is absolutely true. Jesus, who is the son of Mary, may he be blessed by God, is one of the prophets that we believe in, and that is our conviction.
Similar to Christian prophecies about the end times, Islam also talks about a day of judgment, for which there will be many signs, one of which will be the return of Jesus.
Again,
We do it
this is
every night.
this is just some of the things that I wanted to share with some of my YouTube friends and family that are going to watch my channel, or watching my channel, or to subscribe to my channel. Just wanted to give you another insight on different perspectives and belief systems about Jesus, the Messiah of 2,000 years ago. Again, you know, there are many references on Jesus escaping the cross and the crucifixion, not dying on the cross, shall I say. I want to put it in that perspective, and that he was able to go on and teach in other lands. But in the Quran, again, Surah 23, the believers, and the quotations, it talks about him residing in Kashmir, India, and of course dying there and being buried there. And so based on what I've seen, based on what I believe and what I've been taught, I believe that body is the body of Jesus Christ of 2,000 years ago. Anyway, family, YouTube family, this is Sean Muhammad, and I hope you guys will, if you like this, I would like you to subscribe and continue on listening to my show. Thank you very much. And I want to greet you as I came with the greeting words of peace. And we say in Arabic, Assalamu alaikum.